We've been talking about boundaries for several weeks now. God gave us skin so we'd know where we stop, other people start. Boundaries help us determine who and what we are and are not responsible for. And that's a lot of what we'll talk about today. Who and what we are and are not responsible for. They help us determine what is appropriate, when, with whom, and where. As you'll see today, boundaries help us clarify reality, what is, from fantasy, what we might wished was. We don't get to live in the fantasy we desire. We have to live in the reality that is. There are physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, verbal boundaries, property boundaries, financial boundaries, relational boundaries. Today I want to talk to you about boundaries in relationships. In your outline, the truth about each of us. Number one, first of all, as we've talked about these past several weeks, I am God's person. I am God's person. I was made by Him and for Him. I came from Him. I'm going to one day stand before Him to be judged. I belong to Him, not to them, whoever them others are. I live for Him, not for them, whoever them others are. Be they spouse, children, friends, whoever else. So with this, in this relationship with God, we've seen there's four things we're supposed to get from Him. Number one, we're to get our identity from God. I get my identity from Him. I may be a partner, I may be a parent, I may be a friend, but I'm primarily His person. Being His is my identity. Number two, I'm to get my value from God. God wanted me to be. He made me. He loves me. He wants me. Jesus died so that He could have me. He made me to do something for Him in this world. That's where I get my value. I don't get my value out of my marital or parental or financial status. I don't get it from my social status. I get it from the fact that God made me. He has a plan for my life. There's something I can do for Him. Number three, I'm to get my purpose from Him. My purpose is to know the God I was made to know, John 17:3, become the person I was made to be, Romans 8:29, and do the things I was made to do, Ephesians 2:10. Marriage, children, career, obtaining a certain level of power or possessions is not my purpose. My purpose is to know Him, be who He made me to be, do what He made me to do. And then number four, my fulfillment. I'm to get my happiness from knowing the God I was made to know, becoming the person I was made to be, and doing the things I was made to do. Now let me tell you a secret. If you'll do those three things, no matter how bad life gets around you, you'll be okay. No matter if everything else is falling apart, you'll be solid if you'll get those three things down. God wants to give me His joy, which is not dependent upon any kind of desirable circumstances. It says Jesus, for the joy set before Him, endured the cross. John tells us over and over, Jesus came to give us joy, His joy, and He wanted His joy made full in us. Happiness, what we call it, usually is an inside job. People cannot make us happy, and we cannot make other people happy. Now watch, we can give people a reason to be happy, but we can't make them happy. So it says in Deuteronomy that a husband is to give happiness to his wife. He can't make her happy, but he can give her a lot of good reasons to be happy. And so that's your responsibility, is give people around you a reason to be happy. But you do that understanding that even though you are giving them a reason to be happy, you cannot make them happy, and they may be unhappy, and there may be nothing you can do about it. So the first thing that's true about me is that I'm God's person. Number two, I am responsible for myself. I'm responsible for myself. The Bible teaches personal responsibility. Did a message about this a couple months ago. You have to come to Christ. You have to repent of your sin. You will be judged someday by God for what you have done. Jot down Romans 14:12, and there it says that each of us, that means me and you, will give an account of himself to God. I'm not going to give an account of you. I'm going to give an account of me. I'm not going to give an account of people I would like to fix but can't. People I would like to help but can't. I will only give an account for me and what I have done, and you will only give an account for you and what you have done. You're responsible for yourself. Number 3, I am responsible to others, but not for them. I'm responsible to others, but not for them. As a pastor, I have responsibilities to this church. As a father, I have responsibility to my kids. As a husband, to my wife. For example, as a pastor, I have responsibility to you, but I don't have responsibility for you. I have responsibility to teach you the Bible, but I don't have any responsibility over what you do when you walk out those doors. I don't have any power over that. I have responsibility to teach you how to have a biblical marriage, but I don't have any responsibility on whether or not you have one. I have responsibility to teach you how to raise kids God's way, but I have no responsibility on whether or not you do it. See, my responsibility and yours stops where our power stops. And our power stops way shorter of where we think it stops. Way shorter. So I don't have power over you, and you don't have power over me. Therefore, I'm not responsible for you, and you're not responsible for me. Now, number 4. I do not have the power to fix others. This will change some of your life. The other may be your parents. The other may be your sibling. The other may be your spouse. The other may be your kids. The other may be your grandkids. Whoever the other is, I want you to know you do not have power to fix them. Many of us are fixers. We like to fix things. We try to fix people. The problem is we cannot fix other people. We can teach them, we can tell them, we can encourage them, we can yell at them, we can beg them, we can threaten them, we can bribe them. Have I missed anything? But whatever we do, people decide for themselves what they will and will not do. Can I get an amen? That's the truth, and the truth sets you free. If you're living under the lie that somehow you can fix others and therefore you're responsible for them, you're not living a very happy life. And you're frustrated all the time because you think you have power you don't have. You think you can fix what you cannot fix, and you have false guilt. There's no guilt for something you have no power over, only what you do. Now, if you're genuinely Christian, then more and more you care about other people. You hate to see them hurt. If your life is going well, you want other people's lives to go well too. Being a good person comes with a cost. The more you care, the more you hurt when others hurt. But you can't change who people are, and you can't change what people do. See, these are all important boundaries. I must recognize that other people are not responsible for me. I am. I must recognize that I might have responsibility to some people, but I do not ultimately have responsibility for them. We have no responsibility with God, before God, when we have no power. I will say that again. We have no responsibility when we have no power. Now, if you have minor children, you have power. If you have adult children, you mostly don't. They can threaten to cut them out of the wheel or something like that, but you don't have a lot of power over them. I have power to do something about me. I really don't have power to do something about you. And I'll live a really frustrated life if I continue to live under the illusion that I can fix people. I can't. It's a boundary issue. I stop right here, and all I can control is before where I stop. I cannot control where you start. I have no power. Now, number 5, with God's help, I can fix me. With God's help, I can fix me. I do have the power to do something about me. There are things in all of our lives that we don't have control over. But we do have control over our choices. And for the most part, our lives are the sum total of the choices we've made. People who've made really good choices have really good lives. And we all know people who've made really bad choices and it hadn't turned out so well, has it? They have bad lives. As Christians, we have God's strength to change, not just our own. So even though I can't fix others, I can fix me. Now I want to give you two truths about life. Two truths about life. These truths are about boundaries in relationships. They're about reality versus fantasy. About what we can do something about and about what we cannot do anything about. To not understand these things makes you a really frustrated person. You'll expect God to do things that He never said He would do. You'll expect life to be something the Bible never said it would be. You'll expect people to be something that they aren't. And you'll assume responsibility over things for which you have no power. Now, some of you are guilty of all four of those things right now. So here are two truths that can set you free. These truths define reality. Number one, we live in a cursed world. We talk about this a lot around here. When man sinned, Eden ended. A perfect world became an imperfect, problem-filled world. Look in your outline at Romans 8:22. It says there, the whole creation groans and suffers the pains of childbirth until now. What does that mean? That means humans, that means the animal kingdom, that means the planet, that means the weather, that means everything. Everything is unlike it was supposed to be. Everything is unlike God made it. Heaven is where everything will be like God made it. Earth is where nothing is like God made it. It's all suffers. Creation itself is all messed up. We're made for a perfect world, for Eden. We long for a perfect world, which we can have one day in heaven, but we now live in an imperfect world, and it's not heaven. A lot of Christians think, but they've been told by some pastors who teach lies, that if they'll love Jesus, they'll have no problems. The Bible teaches you just the opposite. Jesus loved his Father. He got crucified. The apostles loved Jesus. They all died for him. They all walked with him. The Bible never promises a perfect, pain-free life if you love God. It just promises you the strength for that and a better tomorrow. In John 16:33, Jesus promised that this life would be full of trouble. He calls it tribulation, not free from it. See, we keep trying to make heaven on earth, but this ain't heaven, and it will never be until it's redeemed by Christ at the end. Jot down Galatians 1:4. And there says, Jesus gave himself for our sins that he might rescue us from this present evil age. That's how he describes it. This is a present evil age. Until we're rescued either by death or rapture, we live in a broken world. A broken world is bearable if you live continually recognizing that it's broken. And we'll say that again. A broken world is bearable if you continually live recognizing that it's broken. But when you start trying to live and think that it's not broken, when it is broken, you'll be broken. Did you get that? You got to let go of this fantasy that this is heaven, or it's going to be next week when you get that raise, or next year when you get married, or next month when you have children, or in a few months when the kids move out. It's still going to be a broken, imperfect world. Now in heaven, it'll all get fixed. In Revelation 22:3 there in your outline says that in that day there will no longer be any curse. There'll no longer be any curse. So first of all, we see we live in a cursed world. Then number two, life is as it is, not as I wish it to be. Life is as it is, not as I wish it to be. This would be a great exercise for some of you. Go home today, get a piece of paper and write down what life would be like right now if it was perfect. And then when you're through, wad it up and throw it in the garbage. Because you're not getting that life here. You're just not. In a broken world, life is often unfair and sometimes it's brutal. Solomon observed this and recorded his reaction to it there in your outline, Ecclesiastes 9:11. He said, the race is not to the swift, the battle's not to the warriors, and neither is bread to the wise, nor wealth to the discerning, nor favor to men of ability, for time and chance overtake them all. What he's saying is, the good guy doesn't always win. The best team doesn't always win. The right person doesn't always get the promotion. You don't always marry the right girl. And the list could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. You say, well, that's not fair. Well, it may not be fair, but it's what is. It's reality. And we have to live in reality because the only place fantasy exists is in our minds. Look at Ecclesiastes 8:14. There's futility which is done on the earth. That is, there are righteous men to whom it happens according to the deeds of the wicked. On the other hand, there are evil men to whom it happens according to the deeds of the righteous. The reality is that often good people suffer and bad people prosper. If you have any experience in age, you know that's true. It isn't right. It isn't fair. It's reality. We may not like reality. A lot of the times we don't. But like it or not, it's where we have to live. It's our only option. Life is what it is. You can't change the channel. Say, life is hard right now. It is. The miracle is not that we have hard times in life in a cursed world. The miracle is that we have the good times. Now think about it. We live in a cursed world that Satan is the god of. Every one of us are broken, imperfect sinners. Satan is out to get us. He's a roaring lion seeking to devour. What are the odds of you having a good day in a world like that? Not very high. So rather than be shocked when sometimes life is hard and difficult and sad, we ought to be shocked that life is so often good and wonderful in a world like this. Jesus came to give us an abundant life. He promised that abundant life in this broken world. But you'll never have abundant life in this broken world until the first thing you recognize is how broken it is and how broken people are. Then you can live in the truth. You can live in reality, and the truth will set you free. Now I want to give you two truths about people on the back of your outline. Number one, this is going to shock you. People are imperfect. They're imperfect. Look at these verses. Ecclesiastes 7:20. There is not a righteous man on earth who continually does good and who never sins. That's the truth. He goes on to say this, I love it, verse 21 too. Also, do not take seriously all the words which are spoken so that you will not hear your servant cursing you. Anybody ever said anything bad about you? Come on, raise your hand. Of course they have. Verse 22, for you also have realized that you likewise have many times cursed others. Does anybody in here want to lie today and say you've never said anything bad about anybody? It's a major crime if they say something bad about us, but it's minor when we say something bad about them, isn't it? It's justified when we say it, unjustified when they do. You know what he's trying to tell us? We're all imperfect. I blow it, you blow it. I say things I regret, you say things you regret. Sometimes I disappoint myself, sometimes I disappoint you. Sometimes you disappoint yourself, sometimes you disappoint me. That's reality. Romans 3:23, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. We fall short of being like God is, like He wanted us to be. James 3:2 says we all stumble in many ways. Not a few, in many. Listen closely. If you think that there is someone besides Jesus who is perfect, you just don't know Him well enough. Every one of us would disagree on something if we talked long enough. Every one of us. If you agree with everybody you know on everything, then you don't have an opinion or a brain that you use. If people have to be perfect in order for you to like or love them, you're going to live a very lonely life. I'll say that again. If people have to be perfect for you to like them or love them, you're going to have a very lonely life. Because there ain't no such folk. You can only have friends if you'll allow them to be imperfect. Otherwise, your only option are friends who don't know you very well. That person you're all excited about, you just don't know them well enough to know where their imperfections are. And what we do in marriages, we dump somebody for their imperfections and go marry somebody that we haven't discovered theirs yet. Am I in the right room? Their flaws may be worse than theirs, but we knew theirs, but we didn't know theirs. Found out later. All of us are imperfect people. People putting up with imperfections in us, people put up with imperfections in us in every one of our relationships. In fact, if two people are about to get married, we got a couple who just asked me to marry them. Here's what you guys ought to ask. First of all, you ought to give your spouse to be a list of all the things that'll make it difficult for her or him to love you and live with you. Give them a list. You say, well, I can't come up with anything. Then don't marry that person. I'm serious. See, what we have people get married, we got people who don't know themselves marrying people they don't know. No wonder they have problems. Before you get married, you ought to know where you're screwed up. You ought to know your little deals that may be difficult for somebody to put up with. And if you don't know them, you need to find them out before you get engaged. And then you share them with each other. I'm an imperfect man, an imperfect Christian, an imperfect pastor, an imperfect husband, an imperfect father, an imperfect grandfather, but don't tell my grandkids. I'm an imperfect friend, etc., etc., etc. If you're looking for perfect, the only reason you think you found it is because you don't know yet. That is the truth. That's the truth. The question is not, does this person have flaws? The question is this person's flaws or this person's flaws deal breakers? When you're deciding who you might marry, the question is not, how much do I love what I love about this person? The real question is, can I live what is imperfect or different from what I expect in this person? That's the great question. It's obvious you love what you love, but the problem is you got to go home and live with what you don't love. So you got to make sure what you don't love is not a deal breaker. And you ought to know what those are before you think about getting married. And again, you ought to be able to explain to your person, okay, if you marry me, here's what you got to deal with. I can get real focused, and when I'm in this box and you're trying to do something in another box, I don't know you're in the room. I'm real driven, you need to know that. I'm real laid back, you need to know that. I just want to come home and turn the TV on. You need to know I don't want to go anywhere. You need to know I don't want to be around people. And whatever else it might be. You better find out the imperfections before you say, I do, or you'll be done in. People, all people, and you and I are people too, are imperfect. Number two, people are who they are, not who I wish them to be. They're who they are, not who I wish them to be. Typically when we marry, we really marry fantasies. We marry fantasies. I told this, when we got married, we were broke. I had $50 in the world, had a good job. I worked for the Census Bureau, so every 10 years I was employed. We got married, and one of the things I bought was a couple of shot glasses, not to drink whiskey in, but we were going to put mouthwash in them, so in the morning when we woke up, we could gargle and clear our breath up and be romantic. You know how many times that worked? None. Looked good on paper. It was a great fantasy. It wasn't reality. And we have these fantasies. And sadly, when we're dating and engaged, we don't see who people are. We just create who we wish them to be, and we believe that that's who they are. And then we marry and find out that's not who they are at all. And oftentimes, everybody around us knew that wasn't who they were. But we didn't listen. Very few people have married poorly who didn't have a group of people around them saying, don't do this. But they just go on. And God gives them over to what they want, and they find out they don't want what they wanted. Thought they wanted anyway. Who people are eventually shows. Fantasy bubbles eventually get popped. I know of a guy who appeared to be one of the most kind and loving people I'd met. This person lives in another place, not here in Knoxville, and the girl brought him to meet me to see what I thought of him. He had spent a few years taking care of his wife who was dying of cancer. He seemed to be the nicest guy you could imagine. He sure fooled me. Of course, we just had one night with him. They got married, and on his honeymoon, the monster came out. People are who they are, not who you wish them to be. Who people are eventually shows. And when people show you who they are, believe them. When people show you who they are, believe them. Don't jump back into a fantasy. Oh, well, they're really wonderful people. They didn't mean that. They won't do that again. Don't continue fantasizing over who you wish they were. Don't convince yourself of a lie. When people show you who they are, believe them. I can put in your outline. Cain killed Abel. That's who he was. Noah got drunk. That's who he was. Abraham lied. That's who he was. Lot committed incest. That's who he was. King Saul consulted a witch. David had an affair. Solomon sought life away from God. He wrote a book about it. Ecclesiastes didn't work for him. Judas betrayed Jesus. Peter denied the Lord. John Mark quit on a missionary trip. Demas loved the world and left Paul and his entourage. People are who they are, not who we wish them to be. Now let me give you some practical truths to remember. Number one, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. You can choose your choices. You don't get to choose consequences. And the consequences are not always immediate. In fact, most of the time, they're not. There's a verse in Ecclesiastes that says, if judgment was executed against the sin immediately, nobody would sin, but it's not. So the truth is, I can sin, I can do the wrong thing, and I can get away with it for a while. In the case of Jezebel, it was like 18 years. God said she was going to die. 18 years later, she died. You get away with it a while, but eventually it catches up to you. Doing the right thing, more often than not, doesn't pay off immediately. It pays off way down the road. You reap what you sow. You don't reap immediately. You reap what you sow, you reap later than you sow. Look at Galatians 6, 7, and then verse 9. Do not be deceived. Now, the New Testament says that a few times, and every time what it's saying is, I'm about to tell you something, but you're not going to believe it. I'm going to tell you the truth, but you're going to think you're the exception to the rule. And what's he say? God's not mocked. He's no fool. Whatever a man sows, this he will also reap. Then he goes down to verse 9. It says, let's not lose heart in doing good, for in due time we will reap if we do not grow weary. Why do he say that? Because usually when you do good, you don't get immediate reward for it. You get eventual reward. Sometimes it's ultimate reward in heaven. Number 2, sometimes you reap what others sow. Sometimes you reap what others sow. As children, we've all reaped what our parents sowed. The houses we grew up in have shaped us to certain degrees. As citizens, we reap what our leaders of our government sow. So they can take us down the tubes, or they can make us great. They can get us in war and get us all killed. They cannot protect us. There's a lot of things. As a church, you reap a lot of what I sow. In a marriage, you reap what your spouse sows. She can get you in debt and bankrupt you, and you didn't know it, or he, her. We reap what our kids sow. They break our hearts. So you reap what you sow. That's the truth. You reap what other people sow, and there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes you can be a good place in the wrong place with the wrong person, and all of a sudden your life is wrecked. You've reaped what they sowed. Number 3, you say, well, that's not fair. That's what you've got to understand. Life isn't fair. That's what we tried to learn from Solomon a minute ago. It isn't fair. You can be a good person and have really bad things happen to you. God will be with you. He'll give you the strength to endure it. He'll use it for some kind of good. Eventually, he'll deliver you from it. But he's never promised to keep you from it. He just hadn't done it. Now, here's number 3. Don't throw your life into what I'm calling black holes. Don't throw your life into black holes. Black holes are these places in the universe where stars have imploded. Rather than explode, blow out, they blow in. So the gravity is so dense that light cannot escape them, so they're black. And if anything gets near them, asteroids or anything else, they just get sucked in because of the gravitational pull. There was a movie made about years ago. They're in the news all the time. Like every couple of months, you'll have some article in the news about black holes. Most of us know somebody whose life is like a black hole. How many of you can think of somebody right now? It's just a black hole. They're a mess. You've tried and tried and tried to help them. But all that's happened is you have given and given and given, and they have taken and taken and taken. And the more you gave, the more they needed. And the more, in most cases, they demanded. They keep sucking you in. Your life gets changed for the worse, but theirs never gets changed for the better. That's a black hole. Never work harder at helping someone else than they're willing to work to help themselves. I want to say that again. Never work harder at helping someone else unless they're willing to work that hard to help themselves. It just drains you. It doesn't help them. It's unbiblical. Years ago, I had a guy come to me. His mom just went through money left and right. She was a mess. She was a black hole. And he said, she needs some money. She's asked me for money. Should I give her some money? I said, well, describe the situation. He described the situation. I said, no. I said, all that's going to happen is you're going to have less money and she's going to still be broke. Last thing you want to do is give money to people who can't handle money. She'll just be broke. It won't change her life. It'll just change yours for the worse. It's a black hole. There are people out there that you cannot help, you cannot fix. Now people say, well, God, how many of you were thinking this? Well, God can do anything. Yeah, but he doesn't, does he? Just because God can doesn't mean he does. Here's a verse in your outline there, 2 Thessalonians 3:10. For even when we were with you, we used to give you this order. If anyone's not willing to work, he's not to eat either. Don't throw money into a black hole. Never help someone avoid taking responsibility for their own lives. Say that again. Never help someone avoid responsibility, taking responsibility for their own lives. And that's what black holes will do. They want you to be responsible. I'll show you how it plays out here in a minute. Here's a fourth one. I already kind of mentioned it. Never give money to people who mismanage money. Never give money to people who mismanage money. This applies to parents, children, and friends. You'll end up with less, and they'll end up where they were before you help them. All you do is float their irresponsibility. If you would quit floating their irresponsibility, they may have some real problems and choose to be responsible. They may not choose to be responsible. But I'll tell you one thing, you're going to lose and they're going to keep losing. That's not a good deal. If someone can't get a loan from the bank, that's a good indication they shouldn't get one from you, right? I mean, they're professionals. They know what they're doing. They're smarter than you. That's why they don't give money to people you give money to. And you'll never see it again. You never enable another person's irresponsibility. Number 5, sometimes the best gift you can give a person is to allow him to reap what he has sown. The best gift you can give a person is to allow him or her to reap what he has sown. In Luke 15:11-20, Jesus tells the story of the prodigal son. It's a story of an irresponsible son and a wise, loving, responsible father who is a picture of God in this story. No matter how much he misses his son, and he does, no matter what story he's told about how bad his son is doing, and you know he did. You know people were coming and saying, oh boy, you can't believe what your son's done now. Oh, he's gone through all of his money. He spent it on this, he spent it on that. Oh, he's working at a pig farm now, and he's a Jew. He's eating pig slop. Well, would a loving father not go and rescue that boy? A loving father would not. Because he would not do anything to keep that boy from to allow that boy to keep avoiding responsibility for his own life. I've gone to meddling now, haven't I? So this godlike father refuses to rescue his son. He instead allows his son to reap what he has sown until he has reached the bottom of the proverbial barrel. And when he did, the son had a new thought. He decided that wasn't a good way to live, and now is when his father can help him. But had his father helped him before that moment, his father would not have helped him. His father would have hurt him. And the son would have just continued in his irresponsibility. Why change? Doesn't cost me much. The most loving thing you might do would be to leave your son in jail, to refuse to spend the money to fix the mess he's made. When you rescue people and bail them out of their problems, they don't learn to be responsible. What they learn is that they can continue to be irresponsible, and you'll rescue them again. Now you've become a part of their problem. You're helping him, all right. You're helping him remain irresponsible. Some among us have lived that nightmare. Others of us know people who have. Rescuing people rather than allowing them to reap what they sow, listen to this, undoes what God is trying to do. You become God's opponent. God wanted that boy to come to the end of himself. But what we think of, so many of you think of, well, a loving father would have done something about it. A loving father would have undone the work of God. And this loving father was a smart father, and he didn't. Rescuing people, not allowing them to reap what they sow, undoes what God's trying to do. And sometimes you got to say to them, I love you, and because I do, I cannot help you this time or anymore. Now you say, well, will my child or my friend or my whoever, my parent, will they understand that? Tell me. Come on, say it. No, they're not going to understand that. They're going to think you're the devil incarnate, right? Which comes to a later point here. Number 6. This is a great one. The sick person always thinks that the healthy person is the sick person. The sick person always thinks that the healthy person is the sick person. When a sick person meets a healthy person, the sick person always thinks the healthy person is a sick person. I can't believe you won't help me. I thought you were a Christian. They'll try to manipulate you. If that doesn't work, they'll try to shame you. If that doesn't work, they'll threaten you. Well, I'll starve to death or kill myself, and it'll be your fault. Somebody says that to you, here's your reply. It won't be my fault. If you decide you want to kill yourself, frankly, I can't stop you. I don't think it's a good idea. But know that if you do it, it won't be my fault. It'll be your fault. That's an intelligent, wise reply. But most of you would feel guilty if they said that, especially if they did it. The only way you can keep somebody from killing themselves is to tie them up, put them on a feeding tube, and have them monitored 24 hours a day. You can't keep somebody. If somebody decides to kill himself, how many of you can stop them? If you can't stop them, it's not your fault. But how many of you had that deal? How many of you girls have dated somebody, so if you break up with me, I'm going to go kill myself? Here's what you do with that. You go, well, thank the Lord I'm breaking up with you. The person who says they want to kill themselves is not a good person to go put a ring on. Hello? Emotionally sick people are biblical fools. They always think they're right. And you could put 100 wise men in a room with them and they'd think they're smarter than all 100 of them. You can't win an argument with them because they don't reason. I mean, I can't tell you how many discussions I've had where I try to use logic and reason and process. So this happened, so this happened, so this happened. And I might as well been, speaking in pig Latin. If people want to distrust you, there's nothing you can do to make them trust you. When people made up their minds what they think about you, there's nothing you can do to change their mind. Many people only hear what they want to hear. And so you can say something that's true, but they don't hear it. You can't win an argument with them. It's silly to try. We tend to think that other people are like us. I'm honest, so I just assume people are honest. Everybody's not honest. I'll do the right thing. Everybody doesn't do the right thing. In fact, a lot of people are looking for people like me who tend to be naive, knowing they can do the wrong thing, and I won't suspect they're about to do it. I'd never take advantage of you, so I assume that you wouldn't take it of me. But that isn't necessarily true, is it, with everybody? How you see others says as much about you as it does about them. We don't see the world as we are, we see the world as it is. The greatest example, I've been saying this for years, the greatest example is politics in America today. It doesn't matter what comes out, the people that it's about don't believe it, ignore it, and go on as if it never happened. We see the world as we are, not as it is. We don't hear what people say, we hear what we want to say. We don't see what happened, we see what we wanted to see happen. Our memory is not reproductive, it's mostly reconstructive. Well, I know what you did, I know what you said. You probably don't. This truth makes good people vulnerable to bad people. We think they would change if we helped them. They probably won't. We think they want to change. Since their lives could be better, they probably don't. People are who they are, not who you wish them to be. Help some people 20 times, and they'll forget everything you've ever done for them, all 20, and hate you the moment you fail to help them the next time. Who can give me a witness on that? They'll hate you. They'll forget everything you ever did. And when you don't do it the next time, they won't say, well, you know what? I know you can't do it this time, but thank you so much for all you've done. No, they'll turn on you like a rabid bear or something. Studies have shown that parents who give their kids whatever they want are more likely to be hated by those same kids as adults. Number 7, never take responsibility for other people's lives. Don't do it. Remember we started with, I'm responsible for me. I can do something about me. I'm not responsible for you because I don't have power over you. You're responsible for you because you have power over you. But what people who are irresponsible do, they go around trying to find responsible people to take responsibility for them. So I had to worry about money. You got to worry about giving me money. In Luke 10, 30, 37, we have the story of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan helped the wounded man. He did not take responsibility for him. He helped with his injuries. He put him up in the hotel for a few nights. He didn't take the wounded man home. People's lives are their responsibility. They are not yours. They're theirs. Now, number 8. Sometimes it's true, ignorance is bliss. When you don't know any better, it doesn't bother you that other people's lives are a mess. If your life's a mess and their life's a mess, it's not a big deal. But when you've made good decisions, your life is decently good, and then other people's lives are a mess, it bothers you. You want to help them. You're a good person. You hate to see them doing that to themselves. You hate to see them hurting. You'd like to help them somehow. Again, if your life's a wreck, you don't care if theirs is. But when you do better, you want others to do better. You know that they can do better, but they don't do better. They continue to wreck their own lives and be their own worst enemies. Look at Ecclesiastes 1:18. And there it says, in much wisdom there is much grief, And in increasing knowledge results in increasing pain. The problem with being wise is then you start to discover how foolish people are. The problem with knowing better is watching people who don't know better continue to mess their own lives up. It's painful. It's the hardest part of being a good person, being a caring person, definitely of being a pastor. You know so much, it just breaks your heart. You know people can do better. In my case, you pray, you teach, you encourage, and many people just go right on making a mess of their lives. The only thing that saves me emotionally, the only thing that saves my sanity is understanding boundaries. Understanding boundaries. Knowing what I can and I cannot do. And what I cannot do is way more than I can do. Refusing to take responsibility for what I have no power over. I don't do that anymore. Somebody had a funeral and they were supposed to call me and tell me when it was going to be and I was going to tell the church. They didn't call me. And so one night I'm sitting at home and I'm looking at Facebook and somebody posted something on Facebook. The funeral was going on as we spoke. Now years ago I would have felt bad about that. I would have felt guilty like somehow, oh, I have messed up. I hadn't messed up anything. They didn't tell me, so I couldn't tell. So whoopee-doo. People go to the hospital, and I think they want to keep it a secret to see if I'd find out and come see them. My crystal ball broke several years ago. If you don't tell me what's going on, I don't know what's going on. And if I don't know what's going on, I'm not going to feel bad about not knowing what's going on. You got to tell me. Same thing with your friends. I have a doctorate degree. So in ways, I'm like a doctor. I can tell you what to do, but you're going to walk out those doors and you're going to do whatever you want to do. I can tell you how to get better, but I can't make you better. Only you can do that. So let's close. The hardest thing about being a good person, a caring person, especially being a caring pastor, is that you know so much it breaks your heart. You want so badly for people to do better, to have good marriages, to succeed in their child raising, to do well financially and every other way. You so want it for them. But you can't change people's lives. You know people can do better. You teach, pray, etc., but you can't make them better. So again, like a doctor, I can prescribe. Here's what the Bible says. Here's what God wants you to do. But you walk out those doors and you decide what you'll do. And if what I've told you doesn't work, it's not because God failed. It's because you didn't do what he wanted you to do. Now, some of you have to do this. Some of you are like me. You're just wired up to feel responsible, to try to fix things in people. And several years ago, I had to come to reality that I'm not all that. I had a greatly exaggerated opinion of my power to help and change people. And so what I had to do, I had to resign from being the general manager of the universe. You know, one day I'll die and life will go on this planet. I'm not that important, and you're not either. And some of you need to resign from being general manager of the universe. Some of you need to resign from trying to be the general manager of your children's life or some parent's life or somebody else's life that you can't fix.